Well, hello. My name is Chase Williams. I live in Lebanon, Tennessee, and I'm the Major General of the Army of the Cumberland, United States of America, Federal Army. I started reenacting about 10 years ago at the age of 12-ish. First battle I ever was in was the Battle of Mumfortville, Kentucky as a private in the Confederate infantry. By the time I was 16, I had risen to the rank of lieutenant of that company, the 46th Tennessee, and then was busted for conduct unbecoming of an officer. Wouldn't we all like to boast that one? But reenacting to me is preserving history and preserving the memory of those who fell for their beliefs, both Confederate and Federal. I'm wearing the uniform of a Confederate Brigadier General, but many times have I donned that gray uniform, and to me it's either side. They're interchangeable as long as I'm blowing powder. This is a Union officer's uniform. Early war, you would have worn blue if you were Confederate, because the gray uniform did not come into existence until 1862. But this is, for all intents and purposes, a Federal uniform, as I am the Major General of a Union Army. My interest in the Civil War is to preserve its history, to preserve its battlefields, and to have a damn good time doing it. In reenacting, I'm the kind of reenactor that I like to fight. I like to get rough, because it's fun. I've seen video footages of the 60s where you got 90-year-old men wielding guns at each other and just whopping. People coming out with broken arms and noses. It's great fun. It's like extreme sports. Yeah. I will die, but you got to kill me. I mean, I like it at the very end of the battle where we form a lunette of hay bales or something, and we just go to pulling revolvers and just shooting it out, and then finally someone comes up and whacks you with a butt stroker, and you're dead. Like, yeah, I'm dead. Progressive and mainstream reenacting are one and the same term, and basically the difference between a hardcore reenactor as opposed to a progressive or mainstream reenactor is the hardcores make fun of the progressives because they think they're wimps. Well, when reality, I don't have the kind of money to go throw down on a $3,000 jacket that some idiot hand sewn and went all to this, natural grown fibers, when I can go to the sutlery, buy one just as good for $2.25. Reenacting, the hobby basically is around I have things that you don't. I own 2 original saddles that nobody else has, 2 first edition original saddles. So I have a kind of a, back off, dude, I've got this you don't. I mean, and really, a buddy of mine has a Hall's carbine, which are very much unheard of. So it's kind of, you want upstage the other reenactor, but at the same time, there's that unity. But unfortunately, with the segregation of the hardcores and the mainstreamers, I mean, you really get friction between the two, and I mean, it's erupted into some pretty serious fights in the past, where some events bar other units for no reason other than they don't like them, and that's not right. I mean, this is a hobby. It should be about fellowship and fun. I would say that the Civil War it was America's defining moment as a nation, because here you have this country, and he's Lincoln, I'm going to quote Lincoln, "A house divided against itself can't stand." You had 2 modes of thinking. You had progressive thinking, moving ahead with future, thinking to the future. Then you had the Southern agrarian society with, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it later erupted into open conflict. And the reason why the Civil War is so important that we remember is because it echoes even through today. I mean, the race riots of the 1950s, had Reconstruction been followed the way Lincoln intended it to, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, if we study the past, then we can predict the future and hopefully change it for the better. This right here is a Lamat pistol. This was developed in France shortly before the war. This is the same model that Stuart would have carried, with the exception that I have removed the standardized loading lever that hooks here and here, because the loading lever for the shotgun barrel separates and detaches and gets lost, and I said, screw that. But this is exactly what Stuart would have carried. He carried 2 of them. This is a 20-gauge shotgun barrel underneath. You pull the hammer back. There's the nipple for the shotgun. You pull down this little selector switch, and then you fire. And then the cylinder is a 9-shot of .44 caliber.
Well, it's safe to say that's a hand cannon.
This is a hand cannon. I have shot a deer with it, and it took it down. With about 100 grains of black powder in that shotgun barrel, it will work. This is a real gun. It is not a toy. And if any kids are watching this, don't touch guns. They're bad. Tennessee is the second most fought over state in the entire Confederacy, ranked only by Virginia being first. People in this state, if it's Yankee, they don't like it. They're hardcore Confederates. And I'm related to a Confederate Lieutenant General, Leonidas Polk. He'd probably spin over in his grave if he saw me wearing blue. But at the same time, when you go to reenactment, you always see 100 bazillion million Confederate yahoos running around shooting at everything that moves, and this little bitty cadre of Federals. And there's this moment where it builds up and then it just goes, and there's no more Union Army. So I decided about 2 years ago that I was going to do full-time Federal all the time, and not only to pay homage to my ancestors, but to the ones on the other side. But people in Tennessee they're greedy. They want money. And the Franklin battlefield, I implore everybody to pitch in and try to save. That's probably one of the most pivotal battles in Civil War history, and there's maybe a square mile of it left. This saber is an 1850 field officer saber. This is what would have been carried during the Mexican War. A lot of officers, instead of buying new ones, just carried their old one. This particular one was given to me by my ex-fiance about 3 years ago. So I've kept it for sentimental value, and as you can tell by the blade, we like to play rough. Feels like a hacksaw.